Do you have a dysfunctional relationship with money like I do? If you've watched my last couple of videos, you know that, boy, have I had a crazy history with money. And it just goes to show that it's not about being smart or educated or anything. If you have money issues, they come from other sources, usually deep within us. They come from issues that were in childhood or young adulthood, and a lot of times that can really screw up our relationship with money. So, if you're interested in how to turn that around, I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about some of the things I do, which has helped me turn around my relationship with money to a large degree. I'm going to go through some specific steps you can take to turn around your relationship with money, and also provide you some resources that some books in particular that will actually help in trying to heal that relationship with money. So I believe that anybody can change especially about this issue. I believe that anyone who has developed poor money management skills in their life, and they actually would be lack of skills, I think they can turn it around. I think anybody is capable of turning it around. I certainly have committed myself to making a change in my money management for the rest of my life, so I don't ever have to go through what I did in the past. Now, the key here, though, is you have to really want to change, you know? You have to really want to change, and you have to commit yourself to it. I've known people who have poor money management skills and they have never changed. And they've never apparently wanted to change enough to do what's necessary to turn that around. And so I think everybody's capable of it. Will everybody do it? No, probably not. But hopefully you're one of the people that will make a change if that's what you need in your life. Let's talk about some of the steps that you would take to turn this around. First of all, develop some awareness about what your money problem is. In other words, it's not about, oh, I make too little money, or even about maybe spending too much. I mean the origin of it, going way back. What is your origin of your money dysfunction? Okay. One of the books that helps me or has helped me in the past in this is a book that came out about 20 something years ago. It's called Money Drunk, Money Sober. And the authors are Julia Cameron and Mark Bryan. Julia Cameron, if you're someone who follows, authors, she's the one that wrote the Artist's Way book and a bunch of other books related to that. So anyway, it's a very good book to really figure out what is your money dysfunction, what is going on, what has prevented you from doing the right things with your money in your life. So I really advocate that. I think it's a great book to kind of get you started on this whole thing, because until you understand that you have a problem and maybe what that problem is, how are you going to change that? You have to have some understanding. I'm not saying you have to spend 20 years in analysis trying to figure it out. No, but at least do some, soul searching, read some books on this or articles on this, watch some videos like this, and really figure out what's going on. With me, I know for my problems began in childhood because I was never taught about money. And also, my mother kind of used money as an expression of her affection. In other words, she had a hard time really being loving in some ways. And so money became her tool for that. Well, that's not a good thing to do with children, actually. You don't use money as a substitute for love, because then the children get their signals crossed and they think money equals love. Pretty obvious, right? Well, of course, why wouldn't you want to spend a lot of money or, take risk with money or whatever, because you're having the same reaction to money as you would to affection or relationships. So there's a lot of ways, and that's, I'm not giving you the full, I'm not giving you the full dissection there for myself, but that's kind of the idea. You have to kind of figure out, where did the problem start? What was it about? So that you can really talk to yourself and say, you know what? I don't have to believe that anymore. That's not true. I don't have to live my life like that anymore. So that's kind of the first step you have to do. Before you do any budgeting and everything else that I'm going to suggest, you really want to probe, at least to some degree, what the problem is, because you may not know what your money problem is, and therefore you keep wondering, well, why can't I change it? Well, maybe because you're blocked. You might just be blocked. So the second thing is then to sit down and create a budget. And by that I mean be really honest and real with yourself about what you have to spend every month to live. And if it's more than you take in, then you're going to have to make some adjustments there. You have to live, that is one thing I've heard many people say most of my life. You have to live within your means. And you do. You absolutely have to live within your means. And I tried to find every way to skirt that a lot of my life, which was so stupid. But I have learned it now. I've known it for probably the last decade. And the thing is, you have to live within your means. Money is not going to magically fall from the sky or grow on trees, as the saying goes. So you've basically got to live within your means. It's just, if you can't afford the rent you're paying, you got to find some cheaper way to live or take in a roommate or whatever it takes. But you cannot live above your means. It will destroy you. So make a budget and then stick to that budget. Stick to the budget. So like I have a budget. Every month I know exactly what I have to pay ahead of time. Everything I have to pay for fixed expenses, everything I have to pay for what's called variable expenses. I know that even months ahead. I prepare those like 6-8 months in advance. I know exactly what's coming up. I know what I have to pay. And I know what I have in discretionary spending. In other words, I know what's left over for, incidentals or things like that. So I don't have a lot of extra money right now every month. By the end of this year, when most of my credit card debt is paid off, I will have extra money every month. And then I'm going to have to be really, really, I have a plan in place for how to deal with that, basically. So stick to it. Stick to your budget. The next thing is, if you do have a problem spending, and a lot of people do, I did a lot more when I was younger. I did overcome a lot of that. But if you have a lot of problems overspending, start writing down every single thing you spend in a week, a month, 2 months. Take as long as it takes to really get a grip on how much you're actually spending. Most people don't think about it. They use their debit card and they just say, oh, I know I've got money in my account, so I can just afford this. If you start writing down everything you spend, whether you do it on your phone or you do it on an actual little tablet that you carry in your, pocket or purse, it works. You start becoming aware. I did this a number of years ago to really start getting a grip on what I was spending. The rule was if I bought something, I had to write it down. That's the rule. If you buy something, you got to write it down. And it works because it puts it in your face. You've got to see it. And I know a lot of people I've talked to that have money issues that I keep, I'll tell them like how to turn that around. They resist doing that because they don't want to see what they're really spending. People who resist writing stuff down really don't want to see the truth. So that's one of the best ways. And you don't have to do it forever, just till you get it, just till you understand. So I only had to do it for maybe a couple of months before I really got, it really had an impact on me. And I realized, okay, I get it now. And the way I handle it now is I pay all my bills at the beginning of the month, except for the ones that are like auto pay. But I already know those are coming out, so I make sure the money stays in there for those. But anything left over, that's my discretionary spending. I get a little money for food stamps. I also have a little bit of money coming in that I use for food from doing surveys and stuff, so I use that as well. But I just, for food, I mean. But anything, if I don't have it in cash in my wallet, I can't spend it. I mean, that's the bottom line on that. So if you stick to that kind of thing, or you won't, you only take out a certain amount of cash per week for your budget that week if you want to not carry around a lot of cash or whatever. That is a great way to do it too. So basically, pay your bills first. If you have money that you can save, I would say this is the next thing. Even when you're starting out, even when you're still in debt, put something in savings every month, even if it's $10 or $20. Just pay that first so that at least you feel like, yeah, I've done that. And, you start small. Hopefully later it might be $50 or $100 or more. But you start small. Just start where you can. $5, $10, whatever it is. Put it aside. Write it first. You say, I can't spend that. So that's some things that will help. The next thing is to avoid unnecessary spending. So if you don't really need something, and that goes back to the whole thing, questioning yourself about needs and wants. Okay. Most of the stuff we buy, except for food, and even food, you can buy wants instead of needs there. But a lot of the things we buy are not needs, they're wants. And you have to be able to learn how to distinguish those. I'm still struggling with that. I still work with that. I shared on this channel that I had to buy a new iPad. In fact, I'm filming that on this right now. Because the other one just, went south on me. The thing is, I have YouTube channels, so I basically need something to film with, and I only have my iPad or my iPhone to do that with. So I needed the iPad. I did, if I'm going to continue this. But it's a tough one, and then I had to put that on a payment plan through Amazon, and then that adds to my monthly expenses. So I didn't like doing it, but I did it. But something unnecessary would be, let's say I have a backup light system. Today I'm using natural light, but I have a backup light system when I shoot videos. If a light went out, probably would have to get another light at some point, but I would probably try to wait a couple of months to do it. And so it's really like you have to look at every single expense as, do I really have to get this right now? Can it wait at least a couple of months? And then some things you won't need at all. Some things you'll just go, do I need an extra sweater? Do I need some extra pants? If you don't need them, don't get them. So I still have to do this with myself. I still have to have a conversation with myself about, is it a need or is it a want? And then I'd say the last thing here is be patient with the process, okay? Be patient with this process. If you've had money issues most of your life in some way, you're not going to change them in one day. You're probably not even going to change them in a couple of weeks. It's going to take a month, 2 months, maybe longer to turn around a habit. And you still may struggle with certain aspects of that. You may be good about, like with me, I got really good at budgeting. And that's easy for me to do and look at that. And when I go to the store, I make a list of what I, have to get. I don't usually get anything that's not on my list. I do things like that pretty well. But, when it comes to emergencies or like something breaking and I think, oh, I need to replace that, it is really hard to sometimes delineate between a need and a want. That's something I still struggle with. And as I've shared a few times on this channel, I did get into trouble with credit card debt. So again, during the pandemic, so I'm still dealing with the, aftershocks of that. So, don't use credit cards except for emergencies, as the old saying goes. And boy, I'm the worst offender of that at various times in my life. So, but trying to be better. And I hope you guys, if any of you get into trouble with credit cards, that you work on this. Now, I told you I'd share some other resources with you. So another book that is kind of spiritual in nature, but it's about money, is called The Energy of Money. It's a wonderful book that really talks about what money represents to us in this world and basically how to navigate that in a more healthy way. In other words, how to deal with the concept of money in a more healthy way. Money is energy. It is, just like everything we deal with. We're energy. Everything we touch is energy. Money is energy. It is a strange artificial system that makes us pay for stuff, which I'm an anthropologist, so when I think back to when we lived as hunter gatherers, we didn't have money. We didn't need money. It would be great to live in a society that didn't have to have money. Honestly, it really would. But we don't live there. We don't live in that place. So you have to kind of deal with what's in front of you. And when the currency of our world is money, unfortunately. I don't like it. I think a lot of you may not like it either. It makes, money does horrible things to people psychologically. And it does very little good things to people, to be honest with you. It really doesn't. People who get a lot of money just want more. They've done studies on this and found that, people who, saved $1 million or $2 million or $5 million never think it's enough. It's like there's never enough. So then what that does is that activates that greed inside of us. We always want more, and that's a problem psychologically for people. A couple more books for you. This is also one that's more kind of spiritually related, but it's called The Soul of Money. The Soul of Money, and the author is Lynne Twist. Really good. A lot of similar things to the Energy of Money, but it's a really good book that really kind of helps you explore what money means to you and maybe some of your money issues, that sort of thing. Now, the last book I'm going to share with you today is called, and I'm sure a bunch of you have seen this before, it's been out in various editions since the 1980s. And it's called Your Money or Your Life. Now, the reason I like this, I think it's a very well done book. This is a more recent update in the last probably 10 years. I like this book. I think it's probably better if you're younger because it's about building financial independence. You've heard of the FI movement or the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retiring early kind of thing. So I think it's better if you're younger with this book, like in your 30s or 40s. I think it works really effectively. But I like it's very practical. There's concrete steps in it for how to get a handle on your money and how to not spend. So there's some really good stuff in here about that. And I love this book. This is the third edition I've had of this book. The two earlier editions I gave away to bookstores or whatever because they were, they always update this periodically. But I do think it's a great little book. I was really stuck in a lot of my money dysfunction, so it didn't really help me in my 30s or 40s, but I read it. Anyway, I did read it. I just don't know that it helped a lot, okay? All right, so I guess I would say don't lose hope about this. I've had a tremendous amount of money dysfunction in my life, as I've shared in my especially two previous videos. And I can tell you I have not lost hope that I can turn that around. I've partially turned it around in the last few years, but I have to really dig down deep and really push hard to get a handle on it now. Because you know what? It feels so great when you don't have to worry about your debts or a bill you have to pay or something like that. It just feels really good when you don't have that hanging over your head. And so I'm fighting for that. I really believe that if you really, really want to enough, you want to change, that you can make that change, that you can turn the money problems around. And I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't believe it. I'm very passionate about this subject. I would not be talking about it if I didn't believe it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please drop a like below if you've gotten anything out of this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Until next time, be well, be kind, keep moving forward, and take care of yourselves. Bye.